So I have this situation of like fixing my teeth, like with braces and stuff. And it's been kind of like an uphill battle for me to say the least. Like it's been taking a while longer than what it should, and why not? And then I noticed there's like quite a bit of physical pain that goes every time I have to go to the dentist and make it like switch it or like adjust it and things like that. And that kind of like makes this morning I was like really in pain when I woke up. And then I was having the thought of like, is it really worth it? Like, should I go through this pain or should just like take whatever you call it, like the easy way out or something and just get like a fake replacement teeth or something like that instead of like trying to strengthen them and straighten them or whatever. So I think that's kind of like the thought that it's been like running in my mind since this morning. It's like, should I just keep doing it? It's like really worth it, or is the pain worth it to get the end result,
Hmm.
kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. So this is an interesting situation. It's like really kind of a question. You're bringing a question, which is like,
Mm,
is the pain worth it? Should I take the easy way out? Should I stick it out? And um, and it's really coming to like making a decision, right? So making a decision is something you have to use your common sense with, or do research, or you have to sit with and find your
mm.
truth with. I don't use the work to make decisions like per se, but if it's stressful, if you're caught in this place of not knowing how to make that decision or some stress around the decision making process, then we can do the work on any kind of stressful thoughts about that. So, and
Yeah.
yeah, so what do you think as you just kind of, yeah, considering what?
Now that you mentioned that, kind of like lends more on the way of if I if I stop doing it, then I'll regret it later on. And like that pain, it's kind of like in the middle, like driving that, oh, you should stop. But then my sense tells me like, oh, if I stop now, then I'll regret later on. And I would be thinking, oh, why you didn't make it, why you keep going, or why you didn't endure the pain or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So a bit more like, I don't know. I'll regret. I'll regret my decision if I just stop the that process.
Yep. Okay. One other thing that you can do with decision making, if you want to use the work, is look at what um, look at both sides of it, right? Like on one side, I'll regret it. If I stop doing it, I'll regret it. Then we could say, if I keep doing it, then what is stressful about that? So, and then each side can be
Mhm.
questioned. You're still not making the decision, but you're like loosening the attachment to one side or the other side, and that can be an interesting way to play with it as well. So, what's the other side of it? Like with if you keep doing it, then what's are there any stressful thoughts around that?
Well, there'll be more pain every time.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the one that pops up right away.
Yeah, okay, so now we have it. If I stop doing it, I'll regret it later on. If I keep doing it, there will be, more pain. So
Mm.
this sets up a situation where you're caught, we say, caught between a rock and a hard place, where, like, both sides are bad,
Yeah.
and and then it's like you don't know what I should do, and that's where I get stuck. So one way that can be very interesting with this kind of decision-making situations is to question both sides. Question the I'll regret it if I stop doing it, and then question if I keep doing it, there will be more pain. So if you're interested, we can play with that.
Yeah. Definitely interested.
Okay, so let's do the first one first. If you stop doing these braces, which is causing a lot of pain, then you will regret it later on. Is that true?
Feels like a yes to me.
Okay. And can you absolutely know it's true that if you stop doing it, you'll regret it later on?
Nope.
So, how do you react when you wake up in the morning and there's a lot of pain because of the braces, and you have this thought, if you stop doing it, you'll regret it later on?
Feels like I'm stuck and I'm forced to like feel the pain and just go through it and deal with it. Almost feels like I don't have like a the freedom to make a decision in a way. It's just like I'm trapped. I feel like I should just like force myself to do it just because I started it and I wanted to just end it. So it's like if I feel the pressure of not just giving up in a way and just keep going with it regardless of the pain that I may get from it too. And then I see a lot of kind of blame on myself, like things like why I didn't do it earlier in my life and why am I doing it now. And then of course I put the blame also on other people like my parents and stuff like that for not being careful enough when I was growing up and things of that nature. Yeah, and I feel like trapped. I don't see. I feel a little bit hot inside. It's like my chest gets hot, and I feel like a little bit trapped because no matter where I go, it's going to be a bad decision regardless. So I'm like the bad of the worst, and I don't know which one to switch. So
Yeah.
yeah, and there's this loop. I'm stuck in the loop of like questioning if I should keep going or not, even though like there's the same feeling of not giving up and not doing it, just keep going and all that kind of stuff. There's like the question keeps looping in my mind of about why you should do it and why is okay not doing it and why is okay doing it. And it's like there's no clear answer there. And it's just yeah, it just gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah. How about future images when you think you'll regret it later on? What do you see?
Well, if I see blame too, of like if I stop, then it will be like, oh, why I didn't continue doing it. If I was closer than what I was at the beginning or something like that. And then I also see like I blame myself for not just feeling the pain and just keep going with it because it's similar. It brings me back to a different situation in the past when there was a lot of pain in one of the things that they put on. That it was so bad that I had to take it off myself because like I couldn't sleep at all. So there was a similar kind of pain this morning that I felt, and I was like, that brought me back a little bit into that situation. So I'm like looking at it, but then if I go to the future, then I also think about that same situation and think, oh, you should just keep having that pain, but then getting it fixed later on. So it's kind of like a weird situation there in the middle,
Yeah.
or not even in the middle.
You're kind of flashing to the past and to the future, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting how that past image can make that feeling stronger too, because you remember that experience, and that, so we don't have just one experience now. We have this experience plus the memory of the past experience, which intensifies it.
yeah. And also that makes me think like if I would have had that just like kept doing it at that time, then what would it look like today? Like probably it could be done already if I just, got that pain and just went by it and just kept feeling it or whatever, or taking pills for it or something like that. And then everything will be done by now. And I wouldn't be in the same situation, kind of like going through it again. So
Yeah. Okay, so who would you be without the thought that if you don't, sorry, that if you stop doing it, you'll regret it later on?
I think there's not a lot of thinking going on. I'll just like, there's a lot of acceptance right there. I'm not comparing myself to other people. I'm not even comparing myself to myself from the past or anything. I'll be just there with whatever solution I get at the time for it. So if I'm not having that thought, there's more options to actually consider to get them fixed. So
Yeah. Without the thought, if I stop doing these braces, then I'll regret it later on. And you're feeling pain. Yeah. More options is what I'm hearing.
yeah, and I can see how like the even though I still feel the pain, there's like less focus on it. It's like, yeah, it's there, but there's also other things, not just pain.
Interesting.
Hmm.
It really shows that effect of that thought that when you think that you will regret it, then you don't have any choice. So now you are stuck in that pain, and it actually can make the pain seem bigger than it is. And what I'm hearing without it, you're seeing other things besides just the pain going on.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it's physical. It's not that I'm just thinking about it from a past or something. I'm feeling it. So it's really interesting to see it like not going away completely, but not feeling it as strong as before.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing about pain is that
Wow.
it can be amplified or diminished depending on how we're thinking. Is amazing. It can be aggravated and made seems like even intolerable when some thoughts are there, like, "Oh my gosh, I'll regret it if I don't keep doing this." And it's like, "Arr," like it can get louder and
Hmm.
without the thought, same pain, there's still pain there, but it can be less. So it shows you there's two components to pain. There's the physical, and then there's whatever the mind, however it exaggerates it or experiences it, interprets it. Um, who knows?
Yeah. And I can see how my body relaxes a little bit more too. Before it was like, oh, there's pain. So I'm like kind of like in this kind of like rigid position, like just trying to tolerate it. But now without the thought, it's like, oh, I can relax my muscles a little bit better. So that's really interesting.
Very interesting. Okay, so how would you turn the thought around? If I stop doing these braces, I'll regret it later on.
Well, if I stop, I won't regret it.
I won't regret it. So, how is that possible?
Makes sense because it's not like a life or death kind of decision. It's just like kind of like a static. kind of thing where you just have or don't or whatever. So kind of like minimizes the importance of it a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah. How would your life be okay if you didn't finish doing the braces the way you wanted to? Just to keep, we're playing devil's advocate with ourselves here. Like, how could it be okay if you don't?
Because I could also be open to like different solutions, and I might find another solution that is not painful, and that'll be better for me too in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. You just don't know. Like, there may be solutions out there that would be as good or better.
Yeah.
And that just that possibility, because we don't even know, but just that possibility helps to balance out this original statement that I'm going to regret it. If I don't keep doing this, I'm going to regret it. Like there's only one way to do this, and I better stick to it. It's more like, okay, let's think about it rationally and see what the options are. And maybe there are other things that it could be even better, or maybe this is the best way, but it's not locked in.
Yeah. And puts my mind like into like research mode kind of thing. Like, see, oh, what else is possible out there?
Exactly.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, let's look at the other statement, completely different statement, which was the balance we saw when you're trying to make a decision. The other statement was, if I keep doing it, there will be more pain. So, is that true?
Interestingly enough, no, like coming from the other one.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So, how do you react when you believe that side of the story that, you wake up this morning, you feel that pain, and you're reminded of the old pain, and you think there will be only more pain if I keep doing this? Then how do you react?
It's like my mind goes crazy trying to escape the pain. So I can see how I tell myself in there, like, just stop and don't do it, don't go through it because you don't have to. But then at the same time, there's that battle of like, oh, I should and you shouldn't, and things like that. So, and I kind of like in this start painting this horrible scenario where there's more pain after like the hours, like by an hour just increases by 1% or something or whatever the case may be.
Totally. Yeah. You take the pain you have now and expand it and make it you imagine it's going to be even more and then it's going to be
Right.
crazy. Yeah.
And there's like the constant reminder of like the previous pain that I had where it's just like, oh, remember how that was, how bad it was, that it was like pretty much I just couldn't resist it anymore. And then it's like that constant reminder, oh, it's going to turn like that if you don't stop now.
Yeah.
So you better stop right now.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like afraid of looking at that window and saying, oh, there's more pain on the other side, and just like I have to go through. So
Yeah. And see how that affects your decision there because now you have this strong idea there's going to be more pain and the other side you were thinking I'm going to regret it if I
hmm,
if I don't stop it. I'm sorry, if I do stop it I'm going to regret it. So it's like it becomes impossible to make a decision with so much pressure.
yeah. And then I feel a lot of that fear of making the wrong decision too. It's like it gets right in the middle as well.
Yep, exactly. So who would you be without the thought that if you keep going with the braces, there will be more pain.
It's interesting because like without the thought, I just know that that is not true because I experienced that today already. Like right in this moment, I it's lower than what it was when I woke up. So without taking any pills or nothing.
Mhm.
So it's like I can clearly see that that's not true. So
So what does it feel like to see it that way? Like to really settle into the to that feeling of like without the thought that there will be more pain if I keep going. Like what does it feel like to be in that space where you're not thinking about it being more pain?
I feel like hopeful that this is going to work and I can go through it. Then I can even see myself in like going a little bit to the future and just being done with it and thanking myself for like going through a little bit of pain here and there. I feel relief too. It's like freer in a way because I'm not holding the fear of what's going to happen. Is it going to work or not? So it's like letting it go. Makes me feel like freer.
Yeah. So how would you turn this thought around? If you keep doing it, these braces, there will be more pain.
There will not be more pain if
Yeah.
I keep doing
How
it.
could that be possible? Give me some ideas.
And that's clear because it was like today when I woke up, it was really painful. But as soon as I got up, like 20 minutes go by or something, and it was less painful. But I didn't notice it then. It was like, oh, there's more pain.
You're believing your story of it. There's more. It's only going to be more.
Right.
Yeah. Then you miss the reality
So
is
that,
actually it's less.
right. And just now, by doing the previous statement, is like I could really feel it even more. That it's actually not more pain, it's less pain. So that's clearly right there.
Very cool.
And another one is that I don't know. Like, like who knows what's going to happen anyway? Like there could be more pain if they adjust it or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it reaches a point where there's like some kind of relief like in the bones or something, and then everything goes smoother after that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very possible. There will not be more pain. Any other example for you?
Well, I could take a painkiller too if the pain gets too bad, and that's a clear way that there won't be any more pain, at least for the 8 hours or whatever time
Mm-hmm.
it lasts. So
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
that's another clear solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when,
And then,
mhm, go ahead.
oh, and I was going to say that I've gone through it before, like this adjustments and stuff, and I know it's like really painful, like the first few days, but then it's just like the body gets adjusted to that, and it starts going down after that. So,
Okay.
mm,
And how many days has it been since you got these put on? Or this one?
just one. It was yesterday, so
Aha. Okay. So there's a
mm,
good chance there will be less pain as the days go forward.
right,
You caught it on the worst day.
right.
And then you
I
imagine
just
that instead of going down, it's going to go higher. And then you imagine that's going to be too much.
Right. And that goes back to that fear of like that first time that thing was put on, that there was a lot of pain and I had to take it out. It goes back to that because I tried to deal with it like for a week, but then the pain was getting worse and worse to the point where it just went right back after the medicine went out. So it was more driven by that fear of kind of like feeling similar sensations to that
Yeah.
to those days than what it actually is, the reality of it today.
Yeah. That's really good to see. It's really good to see. You know, my story of it is always worse than the reality of it in reality. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see it.
Okay, so now we've looked at both, we've questioned two statements, one on either side of the decision making process. And one is, if I stop doing braces, I'll regret it later on. And the other is, if I keep doing the braces, there will be more pain. And we found turnarounds like, if I stop doing the braces, I won't regret it later on. And if I keep doing them, there won't be more pain. So notice we haven't made any decision here, but what are you seeing when you look at the overall picture having done these two pieces of work?
Well, I see a lot clearer way to go. And it's like the fear of not having that pain, it's is like out of the equation now, like a little bit. So it makes me think like that's the only thing that is holding me from just keep doing it. That fear of that pain. But if I can see that the pain is lower and I can, that's actually the reality of it, then there's no reason why to stop. So
Yeah.
that's, and I can see that very clearly.
And if it does become in reality more pain and it's too much, then that option of stopping doing it is still also available. So you see the options, like you have, instead of before you had zero options on either side, now you have one option on either side. You have like you maybe the pain isn't going to be so bad anyway, but if it does get so bad, doesn't mean you have to keep doing it too. It's freedom.
Yeah. And it actually gave me more options now that I think about it, because there's like these rubber bands that I put on to like drag a little bit harder. So I can also reduce that and just take him out without taking the whole thing out completely. So,
Right. It's not all or nothing.
right. So that's another option right there too.
I love it. So that's what happens when the mind starts like gets out of this story where it gets hooked on this story of I'm going to regret it if I stop it, and I'm going to hate it if I keep doing it because of the pain. So I'm in this straitjacket, completely caught. And when we question these thoughts, even though we didn't try to make a decision, there became more freedom involved. And now you can see the whole thing more rationally. You have more options, and you can, yeah, proceed in any way that makes sense as you go along.
That feels really good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.